Be on your guard.
Hail, adventurer! I am Bruin the Bard, spinner of stories, seeker of adventure. Allow me to welcome you to the Caeled coast, haven to the wise and wicked. These brave soldiers, the finest of the Alfar armies. They escorted me all the way from Melsenshir to these verdant lands. Alas, our journey together has come to an end. But there is still adventure to be had, so join me. If not, then I bid you fair warning. Your journey shall be far less exciting without this storyteller at hand. Ah, yes. It has been nearly a decade since I have told tales for an audience, and I seek to reclaim that trade. These soldiers have been of no help. Fight, fight, fight. That's all they think about. So please, let me regale you with tales of the Caeled coast. I will make sure your time is well spent, and there may even be a twist at the end. A wise question, and a fair one. As Bard of the Gastir Court, I know all the tales of the Caeled coast, of how this great land rose and fell, and became what it is now. Allow me the pleasure of your company, and I will lead you through these luxuriant lands, spinning stories of times long since past. I had a good feeling about you. Someone who cherishes a good story. Let us proceed. The first stop on our tour begins across the bridge behind me. Alas, there is one small problem. That area is favored by our enemies. If you can clear the area of them, I will follow and join you. This lush land was once the royal domain of two great Alfar families, the Ancillas and the Gastirs, the most powerful of bloodlines and the most bitter of enemies. For centuries, the two houses warred over the coast. So enamored were they with each other that they blinded themselves to the real threat. And so the Bolgan came and conquered. The houses fell before them. One might say they were toppled by their pride. Goodbye.
A fledgling hunter by the looks of it. What's someone so soft doing in the Caeled coast? Don't you know this is Bolgan country? Those red devils are really digging in. I've slain many on my hunt for Chernobog. The scars don't give me away? Ha! You're probably the first person in recorded history not to recognize the mighty Aloff the Hunter. Usually my reputation precedes me. As for why I am here in this muggy puddle of piss, I intend to conquer Chernobog, the mighty Bolgan, and win his eye as my trophy. But first he must be summoned, for he won't just face any foe, you know. Only those he deems worthy to smite with his blade. Ha! You're certainly welcome to try, but I'm afraid he'll be much too dead by the time I finish with him. Besides, you still have the offering to consider. Chernobog will only battle those who can prove their ferocity. It is his way of swatting away the flies who don't offer enough of a thrill for his fiery blood. If you can collect the eyes of 10 Bolgans, then you are clearly a warrior who deserves a reckoning. Set the eyes upon Chernobog's war lanterns and the beast will emerge. Ha! My hunts are the stuff of legend. Not even that Fey armor tear can boast to have tracked and slain more prey than I. And now I intend to claim Chernobog, the Bolgan champion, as my greatest trophy from the Caeled coast. I've traveled the world and hunted all manner of beasts. I tracked them down, claimed their heads and hides as mine. Krang the Etin, I slew him, as I did the Fist of Korthis, and the clan of Craddock elders in Gallifall. Goodbye.
Hello. Excellent work. You are clearly much more proficient in the ways of war than most visitors of the Caeled coast, even the soldiers. It would be my great pleasure. Picture it. 10 years ago, the rising sun, a lingering fog. Somewhere in the forest are screams, the cries of battle. Then, silence. It happened here upon this site. The ambush of Gorn Akri. It is here on this spot where the Bolgan drew first blood, killing Lord Erengustir, his son, and their squires during their morning ride. Let us move on, shall we? And if you don't mind, there are more beasts to attend to ahead. Lord Erengustir was a very wealthy lord and a powerful landowner. I don't care to speak much more on the subject, thank you. Goodbye. Done it. You have rid the gates of the Bolgan. As promised, I have another tale to be told. The very first Erengustir arrived here generations ago from Mel Senshir, before the final tower was raised, when the great giants of Cluracan were but saplings. On that very first morning of his arrival, while the sun ascended the sky, Gustir scaled the heights and saw below him the great keep of the merchant Ancilla. Gustir could not bear such an intrusion on his new ancestral homeland and swore an oath. By right of mine and sword in hand, I will not forsake our native land. Now that you've seen Castle Gustir, we should move on to the final stop on our journey. The last thing I want to show you is near the coast, on the cliffs overlooking the sea. It's the best story yet, but again, it must be freed of Bolgan. Goodbye. There, you've cleansed this place of the Bolgan. I shall tell you the last tale, the best of the lot. Believe me, these cliffs were made for my story. I've told the tale of the first Erengustir, he who discovered these lands, and I've told the tale of his descendant, the last Erengustir, he who lost these lands. My final tale is that this last lord took a young mistress to his bed, a servant named Wilda Brandon. They had a child he refused to claim as his own. To assuage his guilt, he wrote a royal letter in which he decreed to her and the child great wealth. But rather than take that letter, she took her own life. Here, that woman was my mother. Hear me, friend. I do not have much, but I will offer you all that I have to find me that letter. The letter that broke my mother's heart. I will read it, and I will finally know if what my mother told me was true. Then I will destroy it. I want nothing to do with the Gustiers. My mother never wanted his kingdom. She only wanted his love. That letter has haunted me for 10 years. I will now be rid of it. Of him. Friends. Yes. I suppose we are friends. I'm not sure where to look for Father's letter. Father. Strange to call him that. I would think he'd keep it near, lest such revelations be discovered. The castle. That would make some sense, wouldn't it? I'll be back at camp. Be careful. I would feel terrible if anything happened to you. Goodbye.
After all this time, I'd just assumed Enadon had abandoned me, that there was no justice left in this world. But here before me stands the hero of Melsenshire, in the skin, fresh from the Baelor's bloodying, and it appears my prayers have been answered. Tell me, how much goodwill do you have left, Honored One? A Tuatha priest named Rassanon has captured this keep. I am sworn to destroy him, for it was he who deposed House Gestir and stole their ancestral home. For 10 long years he has lived as a lord, hiding high in the royal quarters where none can reach him. At least, not without help. You see, I am Hilared Gastir, descendant of Lord Eren Gastir and last of my family line. This castle and all within it belong to me. My great-great-grandfather built this keep. You can still find the one stone resting where he laid it in the courtyard. We spent 4 generations in these hallowed halls. Then the Bolgan came, followed by their Tuatha masters. They killed everyone, Fae and Alfar alike. Rassanon was the worst of them. He murdered my mother and now sleeps in my family's chambers. With your help, Honored One, my family will find restitution. You will be rewarded, my friend. We Gastiers have long memories of both our friends and our enemies. Come. Rassanon knows I cannot pass through his gauntlet alone, but together we can avenge Castle Gastir. Yes, I remember Brune. He was kind, silly. There weren't many like him in the court. When everyone else was so grim, Brune and his heart never ceased singing. I wonder how he fares now. Were you not told the stories as a child of Rassanon the Ravager? Rassanon the Red-Eyed? He was one of the first to give himself to Gadflow. It is my life's work to make him answer for his crimes. Old as I am, he is older. And I don't want him to die without knowing the rage of his killer. Hurry! The castle is a wreck. Come. Who knows what Rassilon has waiting for us in his lair? Not far now.
You shouldn't have come. Die!
Well done. He didn't even seem to remember me. I've given my life to finding and killing Rassilon, and he probably didn't even understand why. But now the quest is ended, here, at home. I want you to have everything of mine as a reward, and to help me forget the many years of tragedy that led me to this end. Now go. I need rest. I deserve rest. Goodbye.
Hello. You have gone through much to bring me this, only to watch it destroyed. But it must be done. Understand? This letter proves that I am an heir to Gastir, and an heir to his heartlessness. He gave my mother everything, when all she wanted was his love. And now, she's gone. You are my friend. You may not agree, but that is what I choose to believe. You have helped me more than anyone has. I will remember you. I hope you will remember me. She may be the only one truly worthy of the Gastir name, superior to her father in every way. I remember Hill. She and I used to play together in the courtyard. I try not to think of her as a sister. It makes matters all the more confusing. Farewell.
sorrow precedes you, mortal. It is almost enough to shift the great scale on its own. It has been centuries since my reverie was last disturbed. For what cause are you here? What could a mortal possibly want with me? Bizarrain, I have been sealed in here for some time, mortal. But even I know this one. His is the hand that leads the House of Sorrows, no? I know something of the war this land cries of. I will serve. But before I go to his side, you must find Alarain. She and I are as one. Once, long ago, Alarain and I walked the midden as faithful devotees of the Weeping King. She a tender, and I a delver. We were the first of our kind. But when the Weeping King passed, there was nothing. The House of Sorrows that he had built no longer served death, but the winter court that it itself had created. So Alarain and I left. We came here. We devoted ourselves to the contemplation of death, as the Weeping King would have wanted. It means much to me that you wish to reunite us. We have been long in isolation, contemplating death. Perhaps too long. As you found me on one part of the scale, so will you find her on the other. Now I will leave my cell to wait for you both. Alarain and I have been apart for some time. I think it will be good when this business is over to resume our meditations together. The Sorrows are the inheritance of the House of Sorrows, so to speak. We have been working at delving for centuries, collecting and shaping this magic, but we had never thought that it could be exploited. Do the Tuatha revere nothing? Among our kind he was, and he remains singular. None could do now what he did, to naturally find the sorrows in others and delve into their being. And though he formed the House of Sorrows, though he saw the birth of the Court of Winter, he did not remain. By choice or fate, he went to Ashara, never to return. I think this war has exhausted all other Winter Fae who knew the Weeping King as he walked. But though Alarain and I remain, I can scarce recall him. Very well.
How curious. You are mortal, but your steps resound with a burden greater than any one mortal might ever hope to bear. More curious still is your presence here. The great scale is not idly moved, nor is my reverie broken without cause. What is your purpose? I have felt the shifting of the scale. I know that Caeled has now ended his contemplations to serve the King of Sorrows. It is no small thing that he asks, for the knowledge that was given to us by the Weeping King was never to propagate nor to be exploited. But I know of the times that are upon us. Come, let us join with Caeled. If Bizarrain and you are to find the Sorrows, then it is more than my knowledge you will need. Goodbye. I am gladdened that Caeled and I are united once again. But if Bizarrain truly seeks the Sorrows, then he will need more than the knowledge of the eldest. There is a key of sorts to the Sorrows. It lies in the hollow of Sincere, the hollow of the Weeping King. We must recover it. Yes, a mortal is not suited to this task, perhaps, but I do not believe we have time to find another to do this for us. We have not asked you to reunite us without cause. Our efforts must be divided. Bizarane must be instructed, and the key must be found. One of us will accompany you to Sincere, and the other will go to the house. We leave the choice to you, mortal. Caeled and I have different skills, but both of us are capable of guiding you through Sincere. I do not deny there will be hardships we must combat. For that, I rely on my Feyblades, while Caeled uses his magics. Which is of more use is up to you. Very well. Then I will go to the house and instruct Bizarane on how to reach the Sorrows. Farewell, mortal. I shall see you once you recover the key from Sincere. Goodbye.
And so it falls to us to claim the key from Sincere. It will not be easy going, but I will lend my magic to your skill. We must move quickly if we are to beat the Tuatha to the Sorrows. I will wait for you in Sincere. Please, make haste.
Very well.
The Tuatha are on the run. Good work. Plus, it's much more pleasant here without Gadflow bellowing at me from all corners. But enough pleasantry. Are you prepared for your reunion with Ventrinio? The notes we got from Octien say that you were employed as Ventrinio's assistant in his secret laboratory. You were with him in Alabastra when you died, but the notes weren't clear on what happened. I'm sure the two of you have so much catching up to do. Very forthright of you. I'm sure he'll be very reasonable. He probably won't even ask why you're back from the dead. Just make sure he lives long enough to get us into Alabastra, and you can count on my help. Of course, this is bound to be informative. I'm just disappointed I never had a chance to see the original Well of Souls. I believe our new friend has a disturbing path of living shadow to offer you. By all means, be my guest.
Good luck with the gnome, especially if you plan on killing him. The shadow awaits. Make it quick. This island is a perversion.
I hope you're ready for this. I believe this island smells like death. Stay behind me. Whatever that gnome's been up to, it looks like he's made a few enemies in the process. This is your end. Just as Hughes thought, Ventrinio used the same wards from their old lab. This'll be quick. Follow me and be careful. The lads are coming from somewhere in here. Feeling homesick?
The Well of Souls is overwhelming. Damn it! What's wrong? Then why are there so many lads?
I expected a little more. sounds like our rat is caught in a trap. I'm sure he'd be happy to help whoever saves him. Careful, or we'll get trapped up there too. Here's where we part ways. I'll stop the lads at the stairwell. You get upstairs and retrieve Ventrinio. Shouldn't be hard to find him. Keep moving up and follow the cowardly shrieking. I'll hold this staircase. Move!
A new source of power? What sort of nonsense is this? If anything had come in here, my detection spells would have... Wait. Who's down there? Show yourself. Who you are? Get up here! Key to stabilizing the I get for using all those soldiers. I never should have let them get up, try not to look directly into the well. It can be a little upsetting. Damn it! Hurry! Before the whole well starts to collapse. Took your time. Gods damn it! Ever since the Baelor was defeated, the chaos magic sent the well off its alignment. You show up, and now the Laz are... Wait. What? It's you. You're alive. But I saw you die. I'm Ventrinia, of course. Don't you remember me? You were my assistant here at the Well of Souls. You were going to help me change the world. But of course, that was before you died. It was terrible. You were the best assistant I ever had. Who else could have helped me get into Alabastra? Who else had that ambition? We got more than enough Prismere, but you wanted to track down the power source, even if it meant sneaking right under Gadflow's nose. I spent days trying to recover your body, but I never expected to find you alive, or for you to return. Speaking of which, how did you return anyway? Of course you did. You went there to steal Prismere to power the well. You wanted to go after the source of the Prismere itself. You went off, geared for war, sneaking into Baal itself. You damned fool! I had a better chance of bringing you back from the dead than I had of changing your mind. But I wasn't able to do either. What? That's impossible. You were attuned at this well. You'd never even set foot in his lab. Ha! Hughes is a joke. He doesn't have the stomach for this work. Don't try waking the dead if you're not ready to make a few corpses, I say. But the well is coming down around us. Quick! I've got to slow the energy and shut this thing down. And don't... Oh, damn it all. Here they come. Hold them off. The Laz are here. Hold them off while I try to stop the flow of energy to the well. Ignore the rumbling. Focus on the Laz. There. Perfectly safe. I think. Anything we can salvage? Even a piece? All my work gone. Damn it all! But at least we're still alive. Once again, I triumph over death itself. Going back into Alabastra. Well, I still have a way in, but it's more dangerous now than the last time we went. I'll need more Prismere if I'm to rebuild the well. and I suppose I owe you something for saving my life. Perhaps this talisman can help you. It's a little something I salvaged from the debris. It might just help against whatever killed you the first time. We got in with a little help, of course. See, it's all because of Callous Dren, the Defender of Pride. In his house, no one can stand before him. None can even approach, unless you have my little secret. Patience, patience. You'll have it soon enough. I'm going to have to dig it out of the rubble of the tower. Go to the field of Huber, and I'll meet you there. And if you value your life, do not approach Dren. I know the type. Lucky youth, peaked early, then crawled into a bottle and waited to die. I'm impressed you dragged him away from that bottle, but I wouldn't expect him to do any heavy thinking. You mean your deadly little shadow? I know her type. All smiles now, but it's just so she can get close enough to stick her knives in you. Dren, Defender of Pride. One of twin defenders, quite powerful in their homes. But did you know they were also entirely immune to each other's powers? And it seems the Defender of Valor quite disappeared when her house fell. Imagine how useful she would have been if she were here today. Simple bone soldiers, easy enough for any decent mage to build and animate. They're not really alive any more than a puppet is. Gadflow's got an empire built on Prismere. Think of all the power he's sitting on. And he's wasting it on swords and bows. Arrogant fools, all of them. At least we could sneak past them when they were overconfident. Now that the army's at their gate, they'll be watching for us. He wasn't fit to hold my crucible, much less carry on my work. He could barely even stand to cut open a warm corpse for study. I can't imagine the reason you came back in his well instead of mine. Probably some freak attunement transfer. A horrible, messy, ugly place. Too dark to keep bodies preserved and too hot to keep them from stinking. Oh, to be back in a cave in Datir. Partial successes at best. They remember how to fight, but that's about all they're good for. Named them after an old nursery rhyme. Damn things are always moaning all the time. I thought it might shut them up to give them a name. You don't remember it? Well, why dredge up the past? After all, you're fine now, aren't you? You're not the type to hold a grudge, right? Okay. We were in Alabastra getting Prismere. I never thought it'd be dangerous. At least not very. Oh, don't give me that look. Accidents happen. And you can't make an omelette without leaving a few corpses. I didn't know anything about you before you worked for me. Octian hired you and told me you were a resourceful assistant. That's all I know. You didn't like talking about yourself. Actually, you didn't like much of anything. Honestly, you were a terror to be around. But you've changed. I can tell. Before you died, you would never have been this diplomatic. You probably would have knifed me for answers by now. Oh, speaking of which, you left this in your room before you died. Take it. Octian, the man lacked vision. Can you believe all he wanted was his own personal immortality machine? Such a narrow-minded goal for a Templar. Still, he wasn't squeamish about what had to be done in order to develop the well. I suppose he paid well, too, if you consider that any reason to pursue the sciences. We needed tremendous quantities of Prismere to fuel the well, but it's almost unheard of outside of Alabastra, so we had to sneak in to gather our own. My name is Ventrinio Desalini. and I am Professor Emeritus Abscondus of Post-Mortem Studies at the Edessa University. Of course, that was all before I began work on the Well of Souls. Such an important undertaking doesn't leave much time for other pursuits, you know. The Well of Souls is a noble project. Yes, sacrifices have been made. Laws have been broken. People have died. And they will continue to die. Don't you see? That's exactly what I'm trying to prevent. How many have died in this war? Thousands. The bodies are shoulder deep in the battlefields, but for trying to cure it, they call me a monster? We were in Alabastra, and I never thought it'd be dangerous. At least, not very. Oh, don't give me that look. Accidents happen. You can't make an omelette without leaving a few corpses. Fine. We were collecting Prismir in Alabastra. We needed it to power the well, of course, and you got a wild idea to track down the source of the power. I tried to stop you. I really did. But you decided to sneak into Amethyst, and I wasn't about to get killed along with you. I spent days trying to get your corpse back, but to no avail. Much as I hate to admit it, I should thank Hughes for succeeding where I failed. Get going.
I'll keep an eye on the
And
gnome.
remember, don't go near Dren until I get there.